Peter, people see the soldiers, the military, in their finery. Some of the soldiers in scarlet, for example. Can you explain to us, are there, as it were, ceremonial soldiers, or are these people who have hurried back from service around the world?
No, all the military personnel involved in the funeral and all the preparations, everything we've seen ever since Her Majesty died, are serving personnel. So whether it's members of the Queen's Colour Squadron, who are the RAF who saw her onto the aircraft in Scotland, whether it's the Queen's company of the Grenadier Guards who've been escorting her through London, they're all serving personnel. So when they take off those uniforms, they put on khaki, they put on camouflage, and they're deployed around the world, just like all the personnel we've seen in any news clip. And that means they're very versatile. On one hand, they've got to do this ceremonial duty, marching to precisions we've just seen in that clip, and the next, they're possibly in combat. So then they are twice the soldier, if you like, sailor or airman.
Yeah, very well put. Paul Embry has a question.
Peter, hi. I'm interested to know, when it comes to big state occasions like this, I mean, we're going to see this huge state funeral tomorrow. Is there a kind of pecking order when it comes to which regiments will play a role and why those regiments are chosen? I mean, as you touched on, the Grenadier Guards are playing a very prominent role in terms of being the bearer party. Is there any rationale behind that?
Yes, there is. And I mean, if we look at the pictures of the lying in state now, you can see that the foot guards, those are the people wearing bearskins, and they're all the officers from those regiments. There are 5 regiments of foot guards, and the Grenadier Guards are the oldest and the most senior in terms of the British Army. That's why they're there, and that's why the Queen's squadron of Queen's company of the Grenadier Guards have been playing this ceremonial role. They're always picked to do that kind of duty, but that's when they're not on combat elsewhere around the world. But there are 5 regiments of foot guards, and they all play their turn in the various ceremonial things like the trooping of the colour and so on. And their Royal Air Force counterpart, as I mentioned, is the Queen's Colour Squadron. So there's always a sort of there is a pecking order because there's always something just around the corner. Let's be honest, Her Majesty could have died at any time. And so the moment she swore and became our sovereign, the plans were in place for her funeral, just as the plans will now have been laid down for the funeral of King Charles III. These always have to be ready just in case. And so those units that would be involved are already alerted. They always understand that this is just around the corner, if you like.
And how do they select the individuals who are involved? Because some of the roles, of course, carry enormous prestige and great honour. How does a soldier, an airman, a seaman, how does a service personnel qualify for that?
Well, in terms of the armed forces, you know, as a wider whole, and it's very much male and female these days.
Yes.
The units concerned are where you'll find the individuals who are going to be at the forefront of the role. So whether it's the sort of RAF regiment who spend more time on ceremonial and drill than flying aircraft or maintaining them. With the military, it's the household division, the household cavalry we can see there, or the foot guards. And they spend far more of their time doing ceremonial. But in terms of the Grenadier Guards, the Queen's company, always know that they will be alerted to doing this. And that's no more than 100 people. Now, bearing the Queen's coffin, a unique honour, you're going to be, not only are you going to need to be quite tall, but you're going to need to be very, very strong, because Her Majesty's in a wooden coffin that's lead-lined. So this thing weighs an absolute ton. So it's going to be the stronger, taller members who are going to be picked to do that. And everyone wants that honour, so it's going to be shared around. And there have been several occasions when a party has to shoulder the coffin and put it into the hearse or take it out. So there are quite a few who will share that honour amongst themselves. And again, with the Royal Regiment of Scotland conveying Her Majesty through Edinburgh, or the Queen's Colour Squadron of the Royal Air Force. So everybody gets involved. And part of this is because of the Monarch's association with the various regiments, the squadrons of the Royal Air Force, or of course their naval association. And we will see that nearly 200 sailors will be pulling the gun carriage on which the coffin lies for the state funeral tomorrow on her journey to Westminster Abbey.